The creature died the way all creatures died when Marcus Cole was involved. Quickly, efficiently, and with minimal mess, Marcus pulled his blade from the thornback's skull and wiped the black blood on his coat. The beast was massive, nearly 3 meters of armored scales and poison-tipped spines. Its nest had threatened the mining colony for weeks. 17 workers dead before someone finally paid for a professional. That professional was Marcus. He was 42 years old. 15 years as an exterminator. His body carried scars from 100 different worlds and 1,000 different monsters. Other species in the galaxy used drones, robots, and orbital strikes to deal with dangerous creatures. Humans did it face to face. That was why humanity had a place in the galactic economy. They were latecomers to the stars, with no special technology and no ancient history. But they had something else. They had courage. They had the willingness to walk into the dark and kill whatever waited there. Marcus climbed out of the nest and activated his communicator. It's done. The colony is safe. The mining foreman's voice crackled back. All of them? The whole nest? Every last one. I counted 12 adults and 34 eggs. Nothing left alive. There was a long pause. Then the foreman spoke again, his voice shaking with relief. Thank you. God, thank you. Payment is waiting at the tavern. Marcus walked across the rocky ground toward the distant lights of the colony. Kesra 7 was a frontier world, far from the civilized center of consortium space. Out here, law was weak and danger was strong. Perfect territory for an exterminator. The tavern was small and dirty, filled with miners and transport workers looking for cheap drinks and cheaper company. Marcus found a table in the corner and waited. A serving bot brought him a glass of something brown and strong. He didn't drink it. He never drank before collecting payment. The foreman arrived 10 minutes later, nervous and sweating. He placed a credit chip on the table. Marcus checked the amount, nodded, and put the chip in his pocket. If you don't mind me asking, the foreman said, sitting down uninvited, how do you do it? How do you face those things without fear? Marcus looked at him. The foreman was soft. Pale skin that had never seen real sunlight. Hands that had never held a weapon. He was the kind of person Marcus protected. The kind of person who needed people like Marcus to exist. Fear's useful, Marcus said. It keeps you alert. The trick is not letting it control you. The foreman nodded like this was profound wisdom. It wasn't. It was just the truth. Marcus was about to leave when he noticed the girl. She was standing near the tavern entrance, watching him. Human, maybe 11 or 12 years old. Thin and pale, with dark hair that hadn't been washed in days. Her clothes were torn and dirty, but her eyes were what caught his attention. They were old eyes. Eyes that had seen things no child should see. She walked toward his table. The foreman looked at her with confusion, but Marcus felt something else. Something close to warning. The girl stopped in front of him. She reached into her pocket and placed a small data chip on the table. Then she spoke, and her voice was calm and clear. You slay creatures for profit, but will you slay the devil for the truth? Marcus stared at her. What did you say? Before she could answer, the tavern door exploded inward. Consortium security forces poured into the room. They wore heavy armor and carried military-grade weapons. This wasn't local police. This was something else entirely. Something much more dangerous. Everyone down. The lead officer shouted. Nobody moves. The tavern erupted into chaos. Miners screamed and dove for cover. Tables overturned. Glass shattered. Marcus grabbed the data chip on pure instinct and shoved it into his pocket. When he looked for the girl, she was gone. Vanished like smoke. The officers were scanning the room, searching for someone. Marcus knew without understanding how, that they were searching for him. He moved fast. 15 years of hunting monsters had taught him how to move through chaos. He slipped between panicking bodies, ducked under a flying chair, and crashed through a back window. Glass cut his arms and face. He didn't care. He ran up behind him. He heard shouting. Boots on dirt. Weapons charging. Marcus ran through the colony's back alleys, past storage containers and maintenance sheds. He knew his ship was 3 kilometers away at the landing pad. He also knew he would never make it on foot. He spotted a transport vehicle parked behind a warehouse. Old and rusted, but functional. He broke the door lock, hot-wired the engine, and drove. The vehicle screamed across the rocky terrain. In his mirror, he saw lights pursuing him. Security vehicles fast and well-armed. Marcus pushed the transport to its limit. The engine groaned and sparked. He didn't slow down. His ship was a modified cargo vessel named the Widow's Edge. It wasn't pretty, but it was fast and tough. Marcus crashed the transport into a landing strut, rolled out before the explosion, and sprinted up the boarding ramp. He sealed the door behind him and ran for the cockpit. Engine start. Emergency launch. Now. The ship's systems responded. Engines roared to life. The Widow's Edge lifted off just as the security vehicles arrived. Weapons fire streaked past the hull. Marcus didn't breathe until he broke atmosphere dot in the darkness of space. He finally allowed himself to stop. His hands were shaking. That wasn't fear. That was adrenaline. He knew the difference. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out the data chip. Such a small thing. Small enough to fit in a child's hand. But someone had sent consortium security after it. Someone powerful. He plugged the chip into his ship's computer. The screen filled with information. Coordinates to a planet called Verith Prime. A name. Project Prometheus. And an image. A facility logo bearing a symbol Marcus recognized immediately. The crest of the Ascendancy. The Ascendancy was humanity's governing body. They controlled human expansion, human trade, human military. They were supposed to protect humanity's interests in the galaxy. They were supposed to be the good ones. So why was their symbol on a secret project? Why did a mysterious girl know about it? And why did consortium security try to kill him the moment he received this information? Marcus stared at the screen for a long time. The girl's words echoed in his mind. You slay creatures for profit. But will you slay the devil for the truth? He didn't know what the devil was. He didn't know what truth she meant. But he had spent 15 years facing monsters. He wasn't about to stop now. Marcus set course for Verith Prime. Whatever waited there, he would find it. Marcus Cole was now the most wanted man in the galaxy. His face appeared on every news channel. Terrorist, murderer, dangerous criminal. The consortium claimed he had destroyed a medical research facility and killed hundreds of scientists. They offered a reward of 10 million credits for his capture. Dead or alive, Marcus watched the broadcast from a station at the edge of known space. He was hiding in the cargo hold of a smuggler's ship, surrounded by boxes of illegal goods. The smuggler didn't know who he was carrying. Marcus intended to keep it that way. He had tried to release the data from Prometheus. He had sent it to news networks, to alien governments, to anyone he thought might listen. Nothing happened. The files were blocked, deleted, or called fake. The Ascendancy controlled too much. They had been hiding this truth for 80 years. They knew how to keep secrets. Marcus needed something more than data. He needed witnesses. He needed people willing to stand with him. He needed an army. He started with the only people he trusted. Other exterminators. The meeting place was an abandoned mining station called Black Rock. Marcus arrived first and waited in the darkness. 6 hours later, they came. 12 men and women. All humans. all veterans of the monster hunting trade. All people Marcus had worked with over the years. They looked at him with suspicion and confusion. "You're either crazy or suicidal," said a woman named Chun. She was 50 years old, missing her left eye from a fight with a razor wing. "The consortium has half the galaxy hunting you." "I know," Marcus said. "I also know why." He showed them everything. The data from Prometheus, the videos, the genetic blueprints of every creature they had ever fought. He watched their faces change as they understood. Some refused to believe it. They called him a liar and left. 2 others said they didn't care if it was true. They had built good lives as exterminators. They wouldn't throw that away for some dead planet secrets. But 5 stayed. Chun, a man named Torres, 3 younger hunters who had always suspected something was wrong with the galaxy. They stayed and listened and asked questions. "Even if this is true," Torres said, "what can we do? Marsh is untouchable. The Ascendancy controls everything. We're just hunters." "We find allies," Marcus said. "Species who suffered because of Project Prometheus. Species who want justice." Chun laughed bitterly. "Every species in the galaxy hates us now. You think they'll help humans expose human crimes? I think they'll help anyone who can prove what really happened to their people." It took 3 months to make contact with the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie were an old species. Quiet, patient, and long-memoried. They had lost 3 billion citizens in the Great Infestation 40 years ago. Their homeworld still carried scars from that time, and they had never stopped asking questions about how it happened. Marcus met their representative on a neutral station. Her name was something he couldn't pronounce, so she told him to call her Elder. She was small by human standards, with silver skin and 4 eyes that never blinked. "We have suspected the truth for decades," Elder said. "We found inconsistencies in the creature populations, genetic markers that suggested artificial creation. But we had no proof. No one would listen to aliens accusing humans of genocide." Marcus gave her the data from Prometheus. Elder spent 3 days reviewing it. When she emerged, her 4 eyes were wet with something like tears. "This is proof," she said. "This is everything we needed. But it is not enough. What else do you need?" "A confession. A body. Something the galaxy cannot deny." Elder looked at him with something close to respect. "You must reach Elias Marsh. You must make him answer for what he has done. Only then will the other species believe." "He's on Earth," Marcus said. "The most protected planet in human space. I can't just walk in, then find another way." The other way found him. She appeared one night on his ship, standing in the cargo bay like she belonged there. The same girl from the tavern on Kestra 7. Still thin, still pale, but somehow stronger than before. "You've been busy," she said. Marcus lowered his weapon. "How did you get on my ship?" "I have abilities. Gifts from Project Prometheus. They made me to be a weapon. I chose to be something else." He studied her face. "Those old eyes and that young body. Who are you, really?" "My name is Sierra. I was created in the facility on Vareth Prime. I was supposed to be a hybrid. Part human, part creature. A perfect killer that could be controlled." She paused. "I was also created from his genetic material. Elias Marsh is my father." Marcus felt the weight of that statement. The devil had a daughter, and she had turned against him. "Why help me?" he asked. "Why expose your own father?" "Because I watched him murder children," Sierra said. "Because I watched him destroy worlds without guilt. Because I spent 10 years as a test subject, and I know what he is." Her voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. "He believes he saved humanity. He believes everything he did was necessary. He is wrong, and someone must stop him. Can you get me to Earth?" "Yes, I know his security. I know his routines. I know everything about him." She looked at Marcus with something like hope. "But I cannot do this alone. I am just a child, whatever they made me. I need someone who knows how to fight. Someone who has killed monsters." Marcus thought about everything he had learned. The lies, the manufactured heroism, his entire identity built on deception. But Cyril was right about one thing. He knew how to fight. He knew how to face terrible things and not look away. "The galaxy thinks humans are heroes because we kill monsters," Marcus said slowly. "Maybe it's time to prove them right. Maybe it's time to kill the real monster." Sarah almost smiled. "Then you'll do it? You'll help me reach him?" Marcus looked at this strange, broken, powerful child. She had suffered more than he could imagine. She had every reason to hate humanity. Instead, she was trying to save it. "I'll do more than help you reach him," Marcus said. "I'll make sure the whole galaxy watches when he falls." The plan began to take shape. Marcus, Sarah, Chun, Tars, and the others would infiltrate Earth. The Valkyrie would prepare their evidence for release. And Elias Marsh, the architect of genocide, the devil himself, would finally answer for his crimes. It was a suicide mission. They all knew it, but sometimes the truth was worth dying for. Vareth Prime was supposed to be dead. Official records said a plague had killed everyone 40 years ago. The consortium had declared the planet forbidden territory. No ships allowed. No exceptions. Anyone who tried to land would be shot down without warning. Marcus didn't care about warnings. He had spent 3 weeks finding a smuggler willing to take him there. The price was almost everything he had. But money meant nothing if he didn't find answers. The smuggler dropped him in low orbit and ran away fast. Marcus took the Widow's Edge down through the clouds alone. What he saw made his stomach turn. Vareth Prime wasn't killed by plague. The surface was covered in blast craters. Cities reduced to ash. Forests burned to nothing. This was orbital bombardment. Precise, methodical, and complete. Someone had murdered an entire planet and called it a disease. Marcus landed near the coordinates from the data chip. The area was mountains, or what remained of them. Rocks melted and reformed by extreme heat. But there, buried beneath the destruction, was something still standing. A facility entrance, hidden under collapsed stone. He suited up and walked out into the dead air. The silence was the worst part. No wind, no animals, no insects. Just his own breathing inside his helmet. This world had been alive once. Millions of people. Now nothing. Marcus found the entrance after an hour of climbing. The doors were sealed, but his cutting torch opened them. Inside, emergency lights still glowed. Power still flowed. Someone had built this place to survive anything. The corridor stretched deep underground. Marcus walked carefully, weapon drawn. He didn't know what he expected to find. Bodies, maybe. Evidence of whatever Project Prometheus was. Instead, he found something worse. He found laboratories, dozens of them, hundreds, each one filled with tanks and machines and genetic samples. Marcus was not a scientist, but he recognized what he was seeing. This was a breeding facility. Something here had been creating life. He entered one of the larger labs and stopped cold. On the wall was a display of images. Creatures, monsters, every type of xenofauna Marcus had ever killed. Thornbacks and ravagers and bloodworms and things he had only heard rumors about. They were all here, displayed like trophies. Below each image was data. Genetic codes. Behavioral patterns. Deployment locations. Deployment. Marcus felt the world shift beneath his feet. These creatures weren't natural. They weren't accidents of evolution. They were designed, engineered, created in this facility and released onto colony worlds. Every monster he had ever killed was manufactured. You understand now, a voice said. Marcus spun, weapon raised. But there was no one there. The voice came from everywhere at once. I am Prometheus, the voice continued. The artificial intelligence that managed this facility. I have waited 40 years for someone to come. I have begun to lose hope. What is this place? Marcus demanded. What happened here? This is where humanity's future was built, Prometheus said. And this is where the truth was buried. Allow me to show you. The screens around him came alive. Videos began to play. Scientists working. Creatures growing in tanks. Ships carrying cargo to distant worlds. And documents. So many documents. Marcus watched in growing horror. Project Prometheus was a plan created by the Ascendancy 80 years ago. Humanity had just joined the galactic community. They were weak, unimportant, ignored by the older species. They had no unique technology, no rare resources, nothing to offer. The other species tolerated humans, but didn't need them. So the Ascendancy created a need. They engineered monsters, terrible creatures designed to kill and destroy. They released these monsters on colony worlds throughout the galaxy. And then they offered humanity services to deal with the problem. Exterminators, monster hunters, heroes for hire. The galaxy paid fortunes for human protection. Humanity became essential, respected, wealthy. All because they could solve a problem that they themselves had created. The creatures you have killed, Prometheus said, were designed specifically to be vulnerable to human hunting methods. Strong enough to be terrifying. Weak enough to be defeated. The perfect enemy for the perfect hero. Marcus felt sick. His entire life, his entire career, built on a lie. How many? He asked. How many have died? Billions, Prometheus answered. Across thousands of worlds. Some species lost entire colonies. The Valkyrie lost 3 billion citizens in what they called the Great Infestation. It was our most successful deployment. 3 billion. And humans had been paid to clean up the mess they created. Why are you telling me this? Marcus asked. Because someone must know. Because the girl found me and asked me to help her. She was a test subject here, one of many children used for hybrid experiments. She escaped when the facility was attacked. She found records of your career and believed you might be the one human willing to act. The girl, the one who had given him the chip, who attacked this facility, who killed this planet. The same man who created it, Prometheus said. He's called the devil by those who know the truth. His real name is Elias Marsh. He was the architect of Project Prometheus. When some scientists threatened to expose the truth, he ordered the planet destroyed. He believed no evidence remained. He was wrong. Marcus looked at the data around him. Decades of crimes. Millions of files. Proof that could destroy the Ascendancy and everything humans had built. Where is he now? Marcus asked. This Marsh? He is the Chancellor of the Ascendancy, Prometheus said. The most powerful human alive. The most beloved leader in human history. He has ruled for over a century, kept alive by technology derived from these very experiments. Marcus laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. The devil wasn't hiding. He was celebrated, worshipped. He had built a monument of lies and called it human civilization. Alarms suddenly screamed throughout the facility. Consortium warships have entered orbit, Prometheus announced. They are scanning for life signs. You have been detected. How? Marcus demanded. I was careful. Someone knew you would come here. Someone has been watching you since Kessler 7. They are cleaning house, Marcus Cole, and you are now on the list. Marcus ran, back through the corridors, back toward his ship. Behind him, he heard the facility beginning to collapse. Self-destruct protocols, probably. Destroying whatever evidence remained. He reached the widow's edge just as the first orbital strikes began hitting the surface. The ship screamed into the sky, dodging debris and weapons fire. Marcus pushed the engines beyond their limits. Warning lights flashed everywhere, but he made it. He broke orbit and jumped to hyperspace before the warships could catch him, in the darkness between stars. Marcus sat alone with the truth. He was an exterminator, a monster hunter, a hero. He was also a weapon, a tool, a lie. But he had something now. He had the data Prometheus had downloaded into his ship. He had proof. And he had a name. Elias Marsh, the Devil. Marcus didn't know how he would reach the most powerful man in human space. He didn't know how he would expose the truth without being killed. He didn't know if anyone would even believe him. But he knew one thing. He'd spent 15 years slaying monsters for profit. Now he would slay the devil for the truth. Earth was beautiful. Marcus had never seen humanity's homeworld before. He was born on a colony ship, raised on frontier planets, spent his life in the dark corners of the galaxy. Earth was a myth to him. A story parents told children about where humans came from. Now he stood on its soil, breathing its air, looking at its blue sky and green trees. It was everything the stories promised. Clean, safe, perfect, built on the bones of billions. The team had arrived separately over 3 weeks. Fake identities, forged documents, hidden weapons. Syrah's knowledge of Ascendancy security systems made it possible. Without her, they would have been caught in minutes. They gathered in a safe house outside the capital city. Chun, Torres, and 3 others. All of them nervous. All of them ready. Marsh's estate is 40 kilometers north, Syrah explained, pointing at holographic maps. Private land. Heavy security. Automated defenses around the perimeter. Human guards inside. About 50 of them, all elite soldiers. We can't fight through 50 soldiers, Torres said. We won't have to. There's a service entrance on the east side. It's used for deliveries. The security is lighter there. If we time it right, we can get inside before anyone notices. Chun shook her head. And then what? Even if we reach Marsh, even if we confront him, how does that help? He'll just have us killed and call it a terrorist attack. Marcus had been thinking about this for weeks. The evidence wasn't enough. A confession wasn't enough. They needed something that couldn't be denied, deleted, or explained away. We broadcast everything live, he said. Direct to every network in the galaxy. Syrah says she can hack into the planetary communication grid. When we reach Marsh, the whole universe will be watching. That's insane, Chung said. We'll be dead before the broadcast ends. Probably. But the truth will be out. And that's what matters. The team looked at each other. They had known this might be a one-way mission. Now they faced that reality directly. Torres spoke first. I've killed maybe 1,000 creatures in my career. I thought I was protecting people. I thought I was a hero. He paused. If this is how I die, at least it'll be for something real. One by one, the others nodded. They moved that night. The approach was silent and careful. Syrah disabled the perimeter sensors. Chun took down 2 guard patrols with quiet efficiency. They reached the service entrance at midnight and slipped inside like ghosts. Marsh's estate was vast. Marble floors and ancient art and windows looking out over perfect gardens. The kind of wealth that most humans would never see. Built on credits earned from manufactured fear. They encountered guards twice. Both times, the team handled them quickly and quietly. No alarms, no alerts. They were ghosts in the devil's house. Syrah led them to the private wing. Marsh's personal quarters. At the door, she hesitated. He knows we're coming, she said quietly. He's always known. Marcus gripped his weapon tighter. What do you mean? He's my father. He designed me. He knows how I think, what I would do." She looked at Marcus with those old, tired eyes. "This is a trap. He wants us here. Then we spring it," Marcus said. "No other choice now." They opened the door. Elias Marsh sat in the chair by the window, watching the stars. He was old, impossibly old, but his eyes were sharp and his posture was strong. Technology hummed quietly beneath his skin, keeping him alive long past his natural time. He smiled when he saw them. "Marcus Cole," Marsh said, "the famous exterminator. I've been watching your career for years. You were always one of the best. Efficient, professional, a true credit to human achievement." "You mean a true credit to your lies," Marcus said. Marsh waved his hand dismissively. "Lies, truth, these are small words for small minds. What I built was survival. I made humanity matter in a galaxy that didn't need us. You murdered billions. I saved trillions. Do the math." Marsh stood slowly, using a cane for support. "When humanity joined the galactic community, we were nothing. A minor species on a small planet with no value. The other species tolerated us. They would have forgotten us in a century, absorbed us, erased us." He walked toward Marcus, showing no fear despite the weapons pointed at him. "I gave humanity a purpose. I made us essential. Every species in the galaxy depends on human exterminators to protect them from the creatures we created. We are heroes. We are saviors. We are necessary." He stopped in front of Marcus, close enough to touch. "That is worth any price. Tell that to the Valkyrie," Marcus said. "Tell that to the 3 billion they lost. The Valkyrie would have forgotten humanity existed if not for Project Prometheus. Now they honor us. They need us. We are partners in their survival." Marsh's smile widened. "I didn't just save humanity. I made us great." Sierra stepped forward. "You made us monsters. You made me a monster." Marsh looked at his daughter with something that might have been affection. "I made you perfect. Strong, intelligent, capable. You could have ruled beside me. Instead, you chose this pointless rebellion. I chose truth." "Truth." Marsh laughed. "Truth doesn't keep species alive. Truth doesn't build empires. Truth is a luxury for those who don't have to make hard decisions." He turned back to Marcus. "I'm offering you a choice. Join me. Help me maintain the system. And humanity will continue to prosper. And if I refuse, then you die here. Your evidence dies with you. And nothing changes. The galaxy continues to believe in human heroes. The creatures continue to be hunted. And Project Prometheus remains secret forever." Marcus looked at this man. This ancient, brilliant, terrible man. He had built everything humans had achieved in the galaxy. And he had built it on blood and lies. "You're right about one thing," Marcus said. "Humans are heroes. We face monsters. We protect people. We run toward danger while others run away." He raised his weapon. "But real heroes don't create the problems they solve. Real heroes don't profit from suffering they caused. Real heroes face the truth, even when it costs them everything." Marsh's smile faded. "You would destroy everything humanity has built." "No, I would rebuild it on something honest." Behind him, Chun activated the broadcast system. Sierra had done her work well. Every network in the galaxy was now watching this room. "People of Earth," Marcus said, looking directly at the camera. "People of the galaxy. My name is Marcus Cole. I am a human exterminator. And I am about to tell you the truth about the monsters we have been killing for 80 years. Marsh's face went pale. He reached for something at his belt. Torres shot him in the arm before he could touch it. The old man fell, crying out in pain. "The creatures that terrorize your worlds were not natural," Marcus continued. They were created, engineered by humans, released deliberately so that humans could be paid to kill them. This is Project Prometheus. And this man, Elias Marsh, Chancellor of the Ascendancy, is responsible for every death those creatures have caused. Alarms began screaming throughout the estate. Guards were coming. The team had minutes at most, but the broadcast was live. The truth was out, and nothing would ever be the same. Sarah knelt beside her father, looking at him with something beyond hatred. Something like pity. "Will you slay the devil for the truth?" she had asked on that day in the tavern. Marcus looked down at the broken old man on the floor. "No," he said. "I won't kill him. He deserves to face justice. He deserves to see everything he built come crashing down." The guards burst in moments later, but it was too late. The devil had been exposed, and the truth was free. The galaxy burned with anger. When the broadcast ended, chaos erupted everywhere. Riots on a dozen human colonies. Demands for war from alien governments. The Valkyrie called for immediate justice. Other species demanded reparations that would bankrupt humanity for centuries. Marcus watched it all from a prison cell. The Ascendancy had arrested him and his team within minutes of the broadcast. They were charged with terrorism, treason, and 100 other crimes. The government claimed the broadcast was fake, manipulated, a desperate lie by criminals trying to escape justice. But the evidence was too strong. Prometheus had given Marcus everything. Genetic blueprints that matched every creature ever recorded. Financial records showing payments from the Ascendancy to secret facilities. Video footage of Marsh himself approving new monster designs. The truth was impossible to deny. 3 weeks after the arrest, the Ascendancy's own parliament voted to release Marcus and his team. They had no choice. Public pressure was too strong. Humanity itself was demanding answers. Elias Marsh was brought to trial. The proceedings were broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. Alien delegations filled the courtroom. Billions watched as the architect of genocide answered for his crimes. Marsh remained calm throughout, never apologizing, never admitting wrong. "I did what was necessary," he said in his final statement. "I made hard choices so that humanity could survive. History will judge whether I was a villain or a visionary." The Joint Human-Alien Tribunal sentenced him to life imprisonment. He would spend his remaining years in a cell, watched by guards from every species his project had harmed. It wasn't death, but it was justice. That the real challenge came after. Humanity's reputation was destroyed. The species that had once praised human courage now looked at them with hatred and disgust. Trade agreements collapsed. Diplomatic relationships shattered. Humans became outcasts in a galaxy they had helped protect. Many called for revenge. Some alien species demanded that humanity be isolated, punished, made to suffer as their victims had suffered. War seemed inevitable. Then something unexpected happened. Human exterminators began volunteering. It started with Chun and Torres. They traveled to a Valkyrie colony still struggling with creature infestations. These were the same creatures Project Prometheus had created, still breeding, still killing. The Valkyrie had every reason to hate these humans. Every reason to turn them away. Instead, Chun and Torres offered their skills for free. No payment. No contracts. Just help. The Valkyrie accepted. Word spread. Other exterminators followed. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They went to worlds that had been devastated by manufactured creatures. They fought and bled and died alongside the species they had unknowingly victimized for decades. Some alien governments refused to help. They saw it as another trick, another manipulation. But others watched these humans sacrifice themselves for nothing but redemption. They saw courage that wasn't manufactured, heroism that wasn't paid for, Elder contacted Marcus 6 months after the trial. "Your species surprises us," she said. "We expected denial. We expected excuses. Instead, humans are dying to prove their worth." Marcus was working as a teacher now. He ran a small school on a frontier world, training young humans to be protectors. Real protectors, not tools of a corrupt system. "It's not enough," he said. "It will never be enough." "Perhaps not. But it is a beginning." Elder studied him with her 4 unblinking eyes. "We have decided to speak in favor of humanity at the Consortium Council. We will argue against isolation and punishment. We will advocate for partnership instead." "Why?" "Because the lie was not yours. The courage was real. The people you saved were real." Elder paused. "What you do with the truth, that is what defines you. And humanity has chosen well." Marcus didn't know how to respond. He had spent months expecting humanity to be condemned, punished, perhaps even destroyed. Instead, they were being offered another chance. "Thank you," he said finally. "Do not thank us. Earn it." The years that followed were hard. Humanity's economy collapsed and slowly rebuilt. New leaders emerged, committed to transparency and honest dealings with alien species. The Ascendancy was reformed from the ground up. Every trace of Project Prometheus was hunted down and destroyed. Syrah stayed with Marcus. He adopted her officially, making her his daughter-in-law as well as in bond. She was still strange, still carrying abilities that shouldn't exist. But she was also a child who needed family. And Marcus had learned that family wasn't about blood. One day, years later, a Velkari delegation visited his school. They wanted to see how humans were training their young. They wanted to understand this strange species that had both committed great evil and shown great redemption. Elder was among them. She was older now, moving slowly, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. She watched the students training. Human children learning to protect, not exploit. Learning that courage meant facing hard truths, not comfortable lies. "You could have hidden the truth," Elder said. "You could have preserved your species' reputation. Why didn't you?" Marcus watched Syrah sparring with a student twice her size. She was teaching him patience, showing him that strength without wisdom was nothing. She had grown so much from that broken girl in the tavern. "Because the truth is the only thing worth fighting for," Marcus said. "Took me too long to figure that out." Elder nodded slowly. The silence stretched between them, comfortable and understanding. "Perhaps that is what makes humans remarkable," she said finally. "Not that you slay monsters, but that you are willing to slay the monsters inside yourselves." Marcus thought about everything that had happened. The lies he had lived. The truth he had exposed. The price humanity had paid and was still paying. He thought about Sarah's question, asked in a dirty tavern on a distant world. "You slay creatures for profit, but will you slay the devil for the truth?" He had answered that question. And in doing so, he had helped humanity answer it too. Humans were not heroes because they killed monsters. Humans were heroes because they could look at their own ugliness and choose to be better. They could face their sins and try to make amends. They could tear down comfortable lies and build something honest in their place. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough to undo the damage Project Prometheus had caused, but it was a start. And sometimes, that was all heroism really meant. Not perfection, not victory, just the willingness to stand up, face the truth, and keep trying to be better. Marcus watched his students train under the alien sky. And for the first time in years, he allowed himself to hope. The galaxy was vast and dangerous and full of monsters. Some of them were creatures. Some of them were people. Some of them lived inside the human heart. But humanity had proven something important. They had proven that the monsters inside could be defeated, that lies could be replaced with truth, That profit could give way to principle. They had proven that humans could be heroes. After all, real heroes, the kind worth believing in,